can change the world if we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough.
December 1st, 1955, our freedom movement came alive. And because of Sister Rose, you know, we don't ride on the back of the bus no more. Sister Rose, she was tired one day after a hard day on her job, when all she wanted was a well-deserved rest, not a scene from an angry mob. A bus driver said, lady, you got to get up, cause a white person wants that seat. But Miss Rose, she said, no, not no more. I'm gonna stay right here and rest my feet. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Rosa. You are the spark that started our freedom movement. Thank you, Sister Rosa Parks. Thank you, Miss Rosa. You are the spark that started our freedom movement. Thank you, Sister Rosa Parks.
KBLA Talk 1580. It is time to celebrate heroes of women's history. And joining us to do just that, a professor, former chair of the Pan-African Studies Department at Cal State LA. She's got a PhD and MA from USC in political science and a BA from Howard University in African American Studies. She's also the leader of the Black Lives Matter grassroots and lead organizer for BLM LA. Good morning, Dr. Melina Abdullah.
Good morning, Sister Dominique.
We are shot out of a cannon this morning. I think it must be that Mercury and Aries talking about things. And it's Women's History Month. I just feel like we can't get enough history in these history months. So let's start where we are. I know this week, because I'm emceeing it, is Black Women Are Divine. That is taking place on Sunday. And it's focused on more recent history in a reclamation of the legacy of Briana Taylor. So let's review. You know, when we say their names, maybe people don't understand the importance. Maybe we do. Maybe we forgot the details, why this continues to resonate and why it's now become a national commemoration for Black Lives Matter grassroots.
Yeah, so first of all, Ramadan Mubarak to everyone who is a believer. And this is a really special season. I think Black Women Are Divine. This is our first time celebrating in the midst of Ramadan, which makes it even more powerful, right? We know that when we deny our bodies, we deepen our spirits. And so I think it's going to be a really, really beautiful celebration this Sunday in Norman Houston Park in Los Angeles, as we celebrate Black women's divinity, as we celebrate who we actually are, not who the world tries to make us become. And so we initiated, Black Lives Matter Grassroots initiated Black Women Are Divine 4 years ago. People remember on March 13th, 2020, Briana Taylor was this beautiful, young, vibrant Black woman healer who was killed in her bed by Louisville police. They came into her home. They didn't have a rightful right to enter her home, and they killed her in her sleep. And it took a while. If we remember 2020, March 2020, that's the month that the lockdown for COVID hit us. We'll remember Ahmaud Arbery. We remember the world being in uproar over the theft of Ahmaud Arbery's life and us doing things during the lockdown like Run with Maud. And we were outraged, and rightfully so, outraged at the theft of his life. Then in May, George Floyd's life is taken. And I described that as a moment when the world cracked wide open. And we are, again, outraged by the theft of George Floyd's life, because for 9 minutes, 29 seconds, we're in lockdown we can't take our eyes away. We can't turn our heads and pretend like the theft of this Black father, like it didn't happen. But it took some time for us to hear of the death of Briana Taylor, the theft of her life. And when it hit me, I can just say that it really hit my soul differently. And it felt like, what about this Black woman? And I can just say that for me, the words of Zora Neale Hurston came rushing in, that Black women are the mules of the world. And almost as quickly as those words came, Spirit came and said, no, you're not. Black women are divine. And the world tries to make us into mules, tries to make us into beasts of burden. But the truth of who Black women are is we are emanations of God, and Black women are divine. And so I remember that day or the next day, we went to Norman Houston Park, a very small contingent, went to Norman Houston Park and laid out roses and balloons and notes of love for Briana Taylor. And then later, a week later, we summoned together a group of folks, and we had this Black Women Are Divine celebration. And it was really, really beautiful. And so since then, every March, because she was killed March 13th, every March we've been gathering in honor of Black women to do this Black Women Are Divine celebration, which is really, again, as you said, a reclamation of the truth of who we are. It's a day of arts and culture and healing, and it's a love festival. Last year, there were hundreds of women that filled the park, and we were treated to Reiki and massage and laughter and samba dancing and song. And this year, Aloe Black will be joining to sing for us. KO will be coming to sing for us. Aja Monet is going to offer us poetry. There's going to be sound baths, and everything is absolutely free, including a healthy and delicious lunch. Everything is free, and women will walk away with gift bags. The only rule is when Black women come, you cannot work and you can't pay for anything. This is a gift of love for Black women.
And I did have somebody DM me on Instagram asking if men can come, and men are welcome, right?
Men are welcome, and anybody who's not a Black woman, they're invited to come, but you're invited to give. So Black men come, and we got, I think the Kappas signed up to come in mass. So look, I'm an AKA. Alphas, don't let them beat you. So the Kappas have signed up and pledged to volunteer and shower us with love. I think they're bringing red roses because they're Kappas. But we want men to come and show us that you love us. We want anybody who's not a Black woman, but understands the divinity of Black women to come. We just received a pledge from a white man to pay for half of the 300 lunches that we're ordering. So he pledged $2,000 to pay for the lunches. And, that's what we love. You don't have to have $2,000. But white women last year came with purple flowers, and it was just a beautiful honoring. If you're not a Black woman, that's your day to give. If you are a Black woman, you're there to receive.
And of course, that's at Norman Houston Park, which is the park at the top of the summit in Los Angeles. You know it, where Stalker, La Brea, all those streets go up the hill, and there's parking down the hill at the grocery store. Is that right? I don't know why.
At Norman Houston, it's at Norman Houston Park, but parking is at the Crenshaw Mall next to IHOP. So
next to IHOP.
Stocker side of the mall.
Okay, and then
there'll be signs, and we're grateful the Community Coalition is providing free shuttle service back and forth. So you'll be able to get to your car easily, park easily, and be shuttled up to Norman Houston Park, which is a great park, but it has no parking. It's a
really fun day. If you haven't come, definitely you should. Every time I've been there, which I think is every time you've had it, I just wish more and more women would come because it's such a marvelous thing. And like you said, you don't have to have $2,000. I see men showing up and just helping women to and from their cars or escorting them around and making them feel special and, elders and others. So it's really a beautiful, it's just a day filled with love. And it is, when we talk about heroes of women's history, I put Briana Taylor in that category, even though she was minding her business, living her life, and helping folks through her work, in emergency services, but as a first responder, but she was murdered in her bed. And certainly her death has raised a lot of people's consciousness and been a call to action for many.
Absolutely. And we're grateful to you, Dominique, for hosting every year. You'll host again this year. And as you mentioned, you don't have to have $2,000, but if you can set up chairs. My son is setting up chairs. He's on chair duty, right?
Yeah.
And so we're encouraging everybody to come in the name of Briana Taylor. I would love to talk more about who her family describes her to be. She could have been grown into anything. At 20-something years old, she was planning to buy her first house. She's described as a joy for her family, who checked in on her aunties and her mother and all of her family daily. And just a light in this world that was put out before her time by a terrible, really savage system of policing in Louisville.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, she was killed March 13th of 2020. So it's a reclamation of joy and of, and her life and her spirit. And everyone is invited. When we come forward, I want to talk about, go back a little bit more in time, and we're going to start with Harriet Tubman. Even though you think you know a lot about Harriet Tubman, I guarantee you don't know as much as Dr. Melina Abdullah does. And I want to look at some other folks that perhaps we haven't spent as much time talking about. I know you teach on bell hooks, for example, and why she, who, by the way, we lost not so long ago, is such a towering figure and a hero of women's history. That and more when we come forward. You're welcome to join in. If you have questions or other folks that you'd like to uplift, please join at 800-920-1580, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm going out with the girls this weekend. Nails done, outfit stunner, and my skin, I know it's going to be glowing because I glammed up my shower routine with new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. It smells so luxurious and moisturizes deep into my skin with its super rich, creamy lather that's bursting with vitamin B3. So my skin glows and my confidence grows. Try new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash for glowing skin in just 14 days.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Hi, I'm Dominique DiPrima, inviting you to join me at the City of Hawthorne's Business Expo and Job Fair, presented by Hawthorne City Councilwoman Katrina Manning. Explore great opportunities with leading national and local companies and participate in panel discussions with top entrepreneurs such as Goose the Barber, Camille C. Terry, and special guest speaker Danny Bakewell Jr., president of the LA Sentinel. So please join me and Council Member Katrina Manning on Thursday, March 14th from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Hawthorne Memorial Center at 3901 West El Segundo Boulevard in Hawthorne for the Hawthorne Business Expo and Job Fair. That's Thursday, March 14th, the City of Hawthorne's Business Expo and Job Fair. Visit their website at hawthornebusinessexpo.org or call 310-349-2908. That's 310-349-2908 to register. It's absolutely free and open to the public. I'll see you there.
people who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, just like our customer, Jaren.
I'm the singer and guitarist in a band, and I use my Cricket phone for everything. It's basically like another band member.
Don't miss a single beat. Switch today and get a free Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Real customer paid for testimonial. Must bring your number to Cricket on up to a $60 a month voice plan depending on device. Select models only while supplies last. First month service charge and tax due at sale. Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See store for details.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt! Yeah!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt! Yeah!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online. Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I do appreciate you talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah. And I know you know her from This Is Not a Drill, Saturday mornings at 8 here on KBLA Talk 1580. And as an organizer for Black Lives Matter LA and BLM Grassroots. However, she's also a professor, and that's the hat she's wearing today as we talk about heroes of Black history. And Harriet Tubman, who most of us have seen a poster of, heard of in grade school, but she's really a personal hero of yours, right?
Absolutely. And Sister Dominique, I don't know if you're supposed to have favorite ancestors, but Mama Harriet, she's an inspiration. And it's not just what we read. It's as we begin to meditate on her spirit and feel the energy of who she was as a human being and the beauty of her humanity and divinity, as well as the stories of the 19 trips she took south after she had taken her own freedom. She took 19 trips south, freeing more than 1,000 other enslaved people. It's that when we think about the Combahee River Collective, right, and the birth of what we know to be Black feminism, that they're naming themselves really in honor of the most successful one of the most successful rebellions of enslaved people during the Civil War, when Mama Harriet commanded that siege on the Combahee River, where 700 enslaved people were freed, right? So in her lifetime, she freed more than 1,000 enslaved people. And all the while, she served as a healer, as a spy. She was a medicine woman. She spoke directly to God. She would black out and she would say that God would guide her steps. So when we sing like, order my steps in your word, her steps were actually ordered in God's word. And she talks about how she never lost a passenger on the Underground Railroad, that everyone that was guided by Mama Harriet found their way to freedom. What I love is also her model of abolitionism, right? So she knew that the system of chattel slavery had to fall, and she helped to make it fall. She was also a master marksman. She carried a shotgun on her back, right? Beautiful strategist who strategized around the raid on Harper's Ferry and built community with people, both Black and white, including people like John Brown. But what I also love is once chattel slavery was toppled and, people became free in 1865 with the passage of the 13th Amendment, Mama Harriet built a home for the elderly and infirmed in Auburn, New York, where newly freed African people could come and live in liberation, live in freedom, live in spirit, and become who they knew they were meant to be. They could become healers themselves. They could become cooks. They could become artists. And one of the people who found their way to this home for the elderly and infirmed was a young Union soldier named Nelson Davis. During Mama Harriet's time freeing our people, her first husband, John Tubman, refused to follow her to freedom. And in fact, when she came back to help free him, he had actually remarried another woman. And I imagine Mama Harriet's heartbreak. But she continued to be a soldier for our people, the Moses of our people, nonetheless, through this heartbreak. Because remember, she's a human being. But once freedom came and she establishes this home, this young Union soldier comes to Auburn, New York, hears of this home for the elderly and infirmed, and seeks a healing. He suffered with tuberculosis, and we know that in the 19th century, TB killed you. It still kills you, right? But very few people recovered from tuberculosis. And Mama Harriet summoned all of that ancestral healing power and was able to nurse Nelson Davis back to health, and fell in love. And this young Union soldier who was at least 19 years younger than her, they fell in love and married. And he lived out his years with her, building and supporting this home. And she outlived him. She, despite all of the injuries and traumas that she suffered, she lived to be into her 90s, and did work for our people until she passed. So yes, I love Mama Harriet Tubman, and if we can have a favorite ancestor, she's mine.
I mean, I don't see why you can't. We have favorite relatives while they're here. Why wouldn't
Right.
we have favorites when they go to the other side? We've got Tom from Irvine on the phone. Good morning, Tom.
Hi, yes, good morning. Yeah, I'd like to add two names to the list, Dominique DiPrima and Melina Abdullah.
Aw.
Years from now, I'm sure we'll be talking about you two the same way we're talking about Harriet Tubman. And also, I'd like to mention that Monday mornings at 7 a.m. is very difficult for me. If you know what I'm talking about, there's 2 radio programs on at that time, and I have to bounce back and forth on the radio.
Well, you can always circle back to YouTube or go to the podcast and listen to my show if you happen to be somewhere else listening to another person who's on the air right at this second. But I appreciate you tracking, and I appreciate the love. I mean, I don't know that, I hope that I would rise to the level of a Harriet Tubman in my lifetime. I don't foresee that happening, despite my best efforts. I just don't think I'm that brave. But I appreciate the love. I do agree with you about Dr. Melina Abdullah. I think she is underestimated vastly in the impact that she's making for our people in real time. And I think that the history books are going to agree with you, Tom.
Oh,
I think so.
Thank you, Sister Dominique. And thank you, Tom. Thank you so much for that affirmation. And I agree with you about Dominique DiPrima, that as you talk about Mama Harriet, and I think we all uplift her and pray that she guides us, that we use her as a model for what we can be and how we can serve our people and how we can serve the cause of liberation. I agree with you about Dominique DiPrima because she submits all the time, submits to what our people need, offers what our people need, offers what she can. And I'm grateful for not only her leadership and vision, but also her sisterhood and friendship. And, just like Mama Harriet Tubman, her work is grounded in deep and abiding love for our people.
Now all I have to find is a young soldier that I can nurse back to health.
I know, me too. Isn't that inspiring?
Very inspiring.
Well, she was in her 60s by the time she met Nelson Davis.
Oh, so, never too late. Never too late. Yeah, absolutely appreciate the love. Speaking of people that packed a pistol and served our people, my personal hero is Ida B. Wells. My personal hero of Black history, of women's history, is Ida B. Wells. She fought against lynchings in this country. She was a member of the press that truly understand and pioneered the role of the Black press, which is to be the lion's historian. They say, as long as the hunter is telling the story, until the lion gets his historian, the hunter will always be the hero. Well, she was that lion's historian. She was fearless, and they burnt down her newspaper and that didn't stop her. You know, the KKK came after her family and that didn't stop her. She's absolutely my hero of Black history. I know it was a minute till news, traffic, and sports. Do you want to pile on saying something about Ida B. Wells?
Yes, I love Mama Ida B. Wells, who they tried to lure into being kind of a respectable Negro. But she said, oh, no, I'm going to use my pen. It's mightier yours than the sword. I'm going to document these lynchings, and I'm going to call for outrage and uprising against these lynchings. And she was the keeper of the Red Record, who was also revolutionary in all ways, right? Who said Black people need to have ownership. We have to stop giving away our labor to white oppressors. And we have a right to self-defense. One of my favorite quotes was that a Winchester rifle must have a place of honor in every Black home.
Yeah, she was not here for the, for being run over or run out of town. And I love that. News, traffic, and sports, and then more heroes of women's history when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A transcript of President Biden's interview with the special counsel investigating his handling of classified documents is being released. According to NBC News, Biden spoke with Robert Hur for over 3 hours on October 8th and again for over an hour the next day when he faced a number of questions about documents he saw as vice president and how he stored them. The NAACP is urging Black student athletes to reconsider whether they should attend public colleges and universities in Florida. In a letter sent yesterday by the National Collegiate Athletic Association, officials cited a new site policy barring those schools from using government funds for diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programs. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Can't wait weeks for your tax refund? Then don't. At Jackson Hewitt, get money today if you're approved for a no-fee refund advance loan on a prepaid card. Book today at jacksonhewitt.com. No-fee refund advance offered to eligible clients. Application required. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NAACP President Derek Johnson is asking Black student athletes in high school and college to reconsider attending colleges in the state of Florida. Johnson's request is in response to a decision by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to eliminate funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs at all state-funded colleges in Florida. On March 1st, the University of Florida ended its DEI program, which eliminated jobs of 15 people at the university. Johnson also sent a letter Monday to NCAA President Charlie Baker expressing his concerns. Johnson hopes his message reaches a lot of Black student athletes, especially high school athletes who are being recruited by the University of Florida and other Florida schools. If Black student athletes and their parents embrace Johnson's message, athletic programs in Florida will face some very tough consequences. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in celebrating Women's History Month. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Join me and Black Lives Matter Los Angeles for a reclamation in honor of Briana Taylor called Black Women Are Divine. There'll be food, music, performances, and healing services with a special performance by Aloe Black. I'll be your MC, and it's all free. Black Women Are Divine is a space for Black women, girls, and femmes to receive love and healing, and for others to express their appreciation. Many of the 33 Black Lives Matter grassroots chapters across the nation are participating in this honoring of the memory of Briana Taylor on the anniversary of her death. The BLMLA event is taking place on Sunday, March 17th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Norman O. Houston Park at 4800 South La Brea in Los Angeles. The park at the Summit. For special parking options and more information, visit blmla.org. Say her name, Briana Taylor, and join us in loving on Black women. Happy Women's History Month from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Planning for spring at Lowe's means big savings on outdoor power equipment, and Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Buy one select Ego string trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery free. That's up to a $299 value. Power through spring with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
We're talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah. I'll say it because she didn't. I think follow blmgrassroots.org. Go to blmgrassroots.org. Follow BLM Grassroots on all the platforms. Hopefully you're already following KBLA 1580. And Doc Melly Mel and DiPrima Radio. Hopefully you're following all of the above. Molly Bell is in the chat, Dr. Abdullah, and she says Harriet Tubman never got her sister to go to freedom. She says, I always hurt and wonder how Harriet felt. Sometimes we as women do great things and our own family and friends don't recognize. I didn't know that about Harriet Tubman's sister.
I didn't know that about her sister either. I knew that about her first husband.
Yeah, that was
but
sad.
There's a lot that's coming out about, we're starting to learn, and I made a pilgrimage actually to Harriet Tubman's her birthplace in Dorchester County, Maryland, and then to the home for the elderly infirmed in Auburn, New York, and then to her grave site. So I went there for my 49th birthday, and it was just one of the most transformative experiences of my life. I got to lay my hands. I can't go all the way into the story because we have limited time, but the first home that she built for the elderly and infirmed burned down because one of the people who was living in there purpose and cooking that caught the kitchen on fire, and it was a wooden house. So the second home that she built was made out of bricks that she crafted with her own two hands, and Nelson Davis crafted alongside her. So if you go there and you put your hands on the bricks are the bricks that Mama Harriet made. So it's just, I can't even describe the feeling that rushed through my body touching those bricks. I do want to uplift Molly Bell, though.
Yes.
The other thing that we do for Black Women Are Divine is we honor living Black women who are living in their purpose, who are fighting for liberation, who are really divine beings as they are on this earth. We want to give them their flowers now. And so last year, one of our honorees was Molly Bell, who I know people know from calling into your show and from online, but I don't know if they know how long she's been in this work courageously and unwaveringly for the freedom of Black people. I first came to know of Molly Bell's work the year I moved to Los Angeles in 1994, and she was one of those revered figures. I was, coming here for school, and she was one of those revered figures who was doing incredible work in the community, and she still is. And so we honor Molly Bell now as a living Black woman who's divine.
Absolutely agree with that. I have to be your amen corner there. Paul Lee says Michelle Obama, Maya Angelou, Maxine Waters, Barbara Lee, Kamala Harris, Harriet Tubman, and Oprah are some of my sisters who are heroes. And because I asked the question in the chat, who are your heroes of women's history? I know another, I don't know if you want to weigh in on any of those folks, Dr. Abdullah, before we talk about Bell Hooks.
Yeah, all of those people named, especially I want to uplift during Ramadan and during the siege on Palestine. I want to uplift, what's happening, the genocide happening in Palestine. There's two of those people on the list that you named, or that Paul Lee named, Maxine Waters and Barbara Lee, who are unafraid, in the words of Shirley Chisholm, unbought and unbossed, right? Who were early to call for a permanent ceasefire. And we're grateful to them. I am heartbroken that Barbara Lee did not make it to the runoff for U.S. Senate. But we know that for decades, Barbara Lee has been a leader for our people. She was the only vote against the war in Iraq. She's been advocating for a Department of Peace at the federal level. And, again, these are the makers of history, but also whether they're recognized or unrecognized, these are the ones who, even when they don't get shine for it, do the righteous work, even when they get backlash and death threats for it. They do the work of our people. And so thank you for naming the people that you named, Paul Lee.
So let's talk about Bell Hooks. We only lost her, 2 years? It's been 2 years or 3 years, not long ago. And she is, an author, an activist in her own right, and a pioneer, I'd say, of Black feminism. How would talk to me about Bell Hooks and why you teach her, why you prioritize her in the study of heroes of women's history?
Sure. So Bell Hooks was the one who convinced me that I am a Black feminist. So Bell Hooks is a scholar, an author, a professor. She wrote her first book at 19 years old. She's the writer of many, many books. And what I love about her as a scholar and professor is that was never divorced from her liberation work, right? And that was also her work as a scholar, also was grounded, just like we talked about you, as someone who was driven, and I think maybe that's the measure, driven by deep and abiding love for our people. My favorite book by Bell Hooks initially was Feminism is for Everybody. And in Feminism is for Everybody, she offers a definition of feminism which shifted me. I remember being in graduate school and being with one of my white girlfriends leaving a class on women's politics or women in politics. And Gail looked at me and she said, so for us feminists, and I looked back at Gail and I said, I ain't no feminist. I want a man to open the door for me, right? Because I thought feminism meant advocating to open my own doors and pay for my own dinner. And I don't want to do either of those things, right? But in Feminism is for Everybody, which is a very short, and I love how Bell Hooks writes, it's so digestible, right?
Yeah.
You can read that book in a weekend. She offers a very clear and concise definition of feminism, where she says feminism is a movement to end sexism and sexist oppression. There, one sentence, point blank, period. You don't have to have hairy armpits, right? You don't have to burn your bra. It's a movement to end sexism and sexist oppression. With that definition, I'm absolutely a feminist. And more than that, I'm a Black feminist and womanist. Bell Hooks, now my new favorite Bell Hooks book, is all about love. And it's what brought me and my middle child together. It's deepened our relationship because she talks about love as this beautiful, powerful, revolutionary thing. And she really has us question who we are as parents, who we are as friends, as sisters, as daughters, and how can we demonstrate, how can we live and love for our people, not just theoretically, but every day.
So there's your reading list for heroes of women's history. Those books by bell hooks. And I think sometimes when you, well, not sometimes, I believe all the time, when you are on the more radical edge of change in the political spectrum, your role in your kind of glorification by the mainstream society is going to be a lot less. Bell hooks will probably, get a lot more shine in 100 years when people feel it's safe to do so. Just like, you talk about Ida B. Wells. She was not glorified in her own day. She was, very much, as you say, not a proponent of respectability politics, and therefore was on the outs with much of the mainstream. So I think it's important I love the way you do that, is putting the focus on people who don't necessarily get the stamp of approval by our mainstream scholars and press.
Yeah, it's important that we uplift people who seem like everyday people. And in many ways they are. Because I think when we do that, it also reminds us that we all have the capacity to do work that's impactful and meaningful, right? That we all have the capacity to do it, that these people are regular people. Ida B. Wells, another thing that I love about Mama Ida B. Wells is that she was a mom. And she talks about, as she was making speeches and doing talks on anti-lynching and building the anti-lynching movement, she talks about how she thinks she might be the only person to jump from train to train while nursing a baby. And I want us to think about that these are women who, again, were moms and lovers and sisters and teachers and daughters who are like us. And when we submit to the will of the Creator, when we hear our ancestors whispering in our ears, when we move according to consciousness, we have the potential to change the world too.
Talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah, and we are focused on heroes of women's history, continuing the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? My...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company. In the heart of California, where innovation thrives, Access to high-speed internet is important to every family and business. Cal Broadband is the state's leading expert in the development and deployment of broadband infrastructure. Each day, we work to help advance the right policies that will expand the opportunities of reliable, high-speed internet to every community in our Golden State. Cal Broadband is working hard to connect California. Visit calbroadband.org for more information. That's calbroadband.org.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Don't shave with that, son. You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops. I'm good with Gillette's Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard anyway? You know Mama hates it.
Yeah, had it since my last wet shave in 77. Got ingrown so bad, looked like I was growing a patch of new noses.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturize, so I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
And I'm talking with Professor Melina Abdullah right now as we dive into heroes of women's history. We're gonna do a speed round here in the last part of the show. So take out your notebook or just close your eyes and get ready to absorb a lot of knowledge. I wanted to pivot to Dr. Nod Dove, someone that is not widely known, perhaps, at least in the popular culture. Talk about why she's important.
So Dr. Nod Dove, and I had the privilege of sitting with her last week at the National Conference for Black Studies. But she's another who I discovered during graduate school. In fact, as I was writing my dissertation, her theory of African womanism is really the undergirding theory for my entire dissertation. Dr. Nod Dove does research on pre-colonial Africa. And what she finds, what the theory and praxis of African womanism contends, is that this notion of patriarchy is really a Western construct. Who we are indigenously as African people is we practice something that she calls non-hierarchical matriarchy, where women are actually the keepers of society. Women are the holders of society. And there's an understanding that Black men and Black women are equally necessary in the world. And there is no, I'm not going to follow Mama Harriet Tubman because she's a woman, right? That's actually a white supremacist and patriarchal idea that Black men and Black women are equals, and leadership of Black women is really part of our history when we study pre-colonial Africa. She studied.
Oh, did we lose Dr. Melina Abdullah? We did, and I'm sure we'll get her right back. As we talk about Dr. Nod Dove, she's an author, she's a lecturer, and she's still here with us. And one of the things that Dr. Melina Abdullah and I set out to do was to honor not just those who are ancestors, but also those who continue and stand with us today. Dr. Dove currently is still a lecturer, and a professor at Temple University. Oh, we got Dr. Abdullah back. Great.
Yeah, I'm blaming white supremacist patriarchy for dropping my call.
Absolutely. It's always that. It's always that.
Yes.
Speaking of folks, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So Dr. Nod Dove is just a treasure. And, I think she's about 80 now. And she's also a single mother of 6 children. She's a grandmother. She's a great-grandmother. And she doesn't get the shine she should get, but everyone should read African Mothers. That's the book that introduces this theory of African womanism. And she's just a beautiful soul. And all these people that we've lifted up, again, they're grounded in deep love for our people. So when you meet Na, and I met her for the first time last year. She's been a hero for decades, but met her for the first time last year. She approached me with just this warmth. And then she said her name, and I was like, "You're not Dove." And she's just this beautiful soul. Every text and email that I receive from her starts off, "Dearest Melina, beloved Melina." And I just feel like this showering of love over me, and so privileged to be in this genius's midst.
Another one that we wanted to touch on, who's not an ancestor, who's still with us, but is a hero of women's history, is Assada Shakur.
Oh, my goodness. So Mama Assada Shakur, I know people go, she's an ancestor. She is not an ancestor. She is living her best, her free, her most brilliant life freely in Cuba. She, got to Cuba, got to freedom. And this, I think, really is an illustration of Nadav's African womanism theory, right? This idea that Black men and Black women are joined and see our freedom is bound up with one another. That we know that when Assada was being railroaded and imprisoned, and they were setting her up for a life as a political prisoner, Baba Sekou Odinga and other leaders of the Black Liberation Army, Dr. Matulu Shakur and others, were part of the imagining of her freedom. And Baba Sekou Odinga, who just became an ancestor in January, put his life on the line and put his freedom on the line and freed Mama Assada Shakur, who is now, again, living freely in Cuba. People know Assada's words because we close all of our meetings with the words of Assada Shakur. It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Yeah, important words. We also wanted to, especially since Black Women Are Divine is coming up Sunday, I will be the MC. All are welcome. Whether you're women or not, there's a role for you to play and fun to be had for all. That's at Norman O. Houston Park on Sunday, all day long. And a couple of the folks working on that who work in the movement here locally, including Paula Miner.
Oh, Mama Paula Miner, it was such a blessing to be able to honor her last year. She's one of our elders, and many of our folks know Mama Paula Miner through Black Lives Matter. But I first got to know her when she was leading the Youth Opportunities Program for the city of Los Angeles. I was recently actually talking with one of the young people we served, Brother Damian Berry, who I think, because of Mama Paula's deep investment in the young people in Watts, Damien is with us because of that. He's a father of, I think, 13 children, which is beautiful, beautiful, because we didn't think Damien would make it past 15 when he came into the program. Mama Paula has quietly committed her life in so many ways to Black liberation, and we have to honor those history makers, those lovers of our people that are among us. So Mama Paula, thank you for dedicating your whole life to the freedom of Black people. Thank you to people like Dr. Tabitha Jones-Jolivet, who's a professor and organizer with Black Lives Matter. Thank you to all of the women who make up Black Lives Matter and make up this Black liberation movement. Again, Black Women Are Divine. Our daily postings on BLM Grassroots Instagram are about honoring the Black women who are alive and with us and doing the work.
Yeah, and then if you want to see that, you follow BLM Grassroots, right?
Yes, BLM Grassroots on Instagram is, again, daily posts of living Black women who are in the spirit of Harriet Tubman and Ida B. Wells and all of those foremothers who walked before us.
And we don't have much time here, but well, you know what? Let me just give you the final minute before I launch into somebody else and make us run out of time.
Well, I just want to, again, encourage everybody to come out Sunday. Sunday's supposed to be perfect weather, 72 degrees and sunny. And when you come out Sunday, 11 to 4 p.m., If you're a Black woman, you'll be treated to lunch. You'll be treated to healing services, including massage, spiritual counseling, sound bath, whatever you want to do. There'll be a children's village. So we confirmed that people who know what they're doing with our children will be there. People from the Girl Scouts, people who lead these summer camps, they'll be with our children in their in-eye shot. So you don't have to worry about seeing them, but you also don't have to worry about them pulling on you while you're getting a massage, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be beautiful. Aloe Black will sing to us. Aja Monet has music for us, as does Yasmin Monet Watkins. Poetry for us.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to be a beautiful day. Beautiful day. And if you're not a Black woman, please come and give honor to Black women. Of course, our host is the one and only Dominique DiPrima.
Thank you so much, Dr. Melina Abdullah. I appreciate you spending the time with me. Get you some tea with honey. I got to go.
When I break fast.
Yes. Yes. Happy Ramadan Mubarak. Tavis Smiley is up next, and in our continuation of honoring Black women for Women's History Month, attorney Barbara Arnwine joins me tomorrow. History is now, and we are making it together. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Moore on October 8th and again for over an hour the next day when he faced a number of questions about